All right, today we're jumping into some really fascinating source material that kind of flips the script on prayer. See, most of us think prayer is all about asking for things, right? But what if its real power isn't in speaking at all, but in hearing? Let's get into it.
So, let me ask you this. Ever look back at your life and just cringe? You see the same kinds of mistakes popping up over and over again. Maybe it's in your relationships, maybe your career, your big life choices. It's easy to just write it off as bad luck. But what if it's not? What if there's a pattern at play that you just can't see?
Well, the source material for this explainer suggests something really interesting. It uses this metaphor of our lives being programmed, like we're running on code written by unseen forces. And the way to break out of those negative loops, to actually rewrite that program for success, isn't just about trying harder. It's about using a specific kind of prayer, one that's all about receiving new instruction. Okay, so to really get this, we got to start with a few key ideas from the source. And the first one is the big goal of all this, something it calls dominion. So what exactly is dominion? It's not about power over other people. Not at all. The speaker describes it as having the spiritual authority to create real positive change in your own life, to overcome whatever's in your way. And the source is crystal clear on this. This whole ability comes down to one thing. You've got to hear the voice of God, and then you've got to act on it. And this is a really critical point from the source. This communication, it's not framed as some nice bonus. It's presented as the most essential insurance policy for your life. The argument is simple. If you don't have that direct guidance, it doesn't matter how good your intentions are, you're going to end up in trouble. Okay, so if hearing God's voice leads to victory, what happens when you're listening to other voices? This brings us right to the core problem that the source identifies, the danger of what it calls negative or even demonic programming. The idea here is that just as one voice can speak life and success, other forces can whisper destruction. And this demonic programming isn't described as some over-the-top Hollywood movie thing. No, it's way more subtle. It's like these quiet suggestions that guide people, step by step, to make the absolute worst decision at the worst possible time. And that's how you get these repeating patterns of failure. And to really hammer this point home, the speaker tells this absolutely shocking story from Scripture. It's a crazy example of how an entire family can just walk step by step into total destruction because they are completely blind to the program that's running their lives. The story is just wild. So you have a family of 7 brothers. The first brother marries a woman, and then he dies. Okay, then the second brother marries the exact same woman, and he dies too. And this just keeps happening. The third, the fourth, all the way down to the 7th and final brother. Every single one makes the same fatal mistake, and the entire family line is just gone. So the big question is why? Why didn't anybody stop? I mean, after the second death, or definitely the third, wouldn't you see the pattern? Well, the perspective here is that there was a program running, a destructive one. And they were deaf to the one voice that would have screamed, "Turn back, this is not the way to go." They were totally blinded by this unseen force. That is a terrifying thought, right? But the source doesn't just leave us hanging there with the problem. It pivots right to the solution. And it frames prayer not just as some religious duty, but as a powerful spiritual technology that's literally designed to fight back against this kind of negative programming. And this is a really key distinction to make. According to this material, praying for a long time isn't about earning points with God or something. It's about building spiritual stamina. It's like training your endurance so you can stay in that place of listening until you actually get the feedback you're waiting for. Because from this perspective, if you give up and leave before God speaks, well, you've kind of wasted your time. So this really shows you the huge shift in thinking the source is talking about. On one side, you've got prayer as asking. That's the model most of us know. We talk, we make our requests. But on the other side is prayer as hearing. And here, the focus is 100% on listening. In this model, prayer isn't finished when you're done talking. It's finished when you get a response. And here's the bottom line, stated as plainly as possible. The thing that creates the change isn't the prayer itself. The real power, the thing that actually rewrites the program, is the feedback that comes from heaven. It's the answer, the instruction, the insight you get because you are willing to wait and listen. All right, so let's say you do this. You use this spiritual technology and you get that feedback. What then? Well, this is where it gets really good. This is where the source talks about the incredible results of reprogramming your life for victory.
The material uses a really powerful word for this. It calls you invincible. Now, not like a superhero who can't be hurt, but invincible in the sense that you can't be trapped by these negative programs anymore. Why? Because you have access to inside information. You can see the trap coming and just step around the disasters that other people walk straight into. So check out this modern day example the speaker gives. Picture this. A woman is at the airport, about to get on her flight. Everything's totally normal. Her luggage is already checked in. But then all of a sudden, she gets this powerful, totally illogical feeling, I have to get my bag back. So she insists. She abandons the flight just to get her bag. And she walks away. And then the plane crashes. Now, you could just say, wow, what a lucky hunch, right? But the speaker argues it was way more than that. It was a successful use of this spiritual technology. She was tuned into a divine frequency, and she heard a warning that saved her life. And the claim here is that this isn't some rare gift for special people. It's something available to anyone who's willing to learn how to listen. So all of this really brings us to a crucial choice. The source basically lays out two totally different paths, two different ways to navigate your life. And this next quote is, wow, it's pretty provocative. It says, the reason Christians become victims is because 90% of their decision-making is just coming from their own brain. The idea is that we're relying too much on our own logic. We're trying to make decisions about the future with only information from the past and the present, and that's just not enough. And the speaker gives a really personal example from his own life, choosing who to marry. He said that on paper, other women looked like a smarter choice. Better connections, better finances, all the things human wisdom looks at. But when he prayed, he felt a clear, undeniable direction from God to marry the woman who is now his wife, even though it went against a lot of advice. And the result? He says the last year of his life has been the most peaceful and successful he's ever had. And this next quote just sums up the whole idea perfectly. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how fast you're moving, or how great your plans look. If you're heading in the wrong direction, all that speed and effort just gets you to the wrong place faster. And that really leaves us with one final, very important question to think about. When you look at the decisions you're making every single day, who or what is actually writing your story? Is it just your own intellect? Is it the pressure from people around you? Or are you taking the time to tune in and listen for a different voice entirely? That's the challenge this source material leaves us with.